This will be a mini-series on seedling production. Jim Kennard has recently put on a full 4-hour class on seedling production, which is the best I've ever been to, and that information will be out shortly on DVD. But today we're starting another batch of seedlings here at my house. What I have here is a mix of 4 parts to 2 parts to 1 part sawdust, coarse sand, and perlite. In addition to that, I've added 1.5 ounces of Mittleider pre-plant fertilizer, which is a mixture of calcium, magnesium, and boron, and we get that mixture by using gypsum, Epsom salt, and borax. I'm using this 18-inch by 18-inch seedling tray that I built using the instructions from the Mittleider gardening course book. I'll have a link below to that book, and I think it's the best book on the planet for gardening. The reason why I like to use the 18-inch seedling tray is because all the measurements for adding the nutrients to the soil that come from the book are set for the size of a box. So I don't have to figure out how many ounces per cubic foot of pre-plant fertilizer or weekly feed or anything else that I need. This very inexpensive seedling tray will last at least a decade, if not longer. Now that I have the sawdust, sand, and perlite mixed with the pre-plant fertilizer, I've moistened it with the garden hose and stirred it up. This will be our growing medium for our seeds. I've transferred the custom soil into the 18-inch seedling tray, and now I'm ready to tamp it down. But before I do that, let me just explain why I like using my own custom soil. There's no problem going out and spending $10 or $20 or $30 for a bag of seedling mix. I certainly would not buy seedling soil because that's too heavy. As I've read the labels on what I can buy in the store, I come to the conclusion that I really don't know exactly what's in that. Here, with using sand and sawdust and perlite, I know exactly what's in it and what's not in it. There's no pesticides in it, there's no herbicides in it, there's no weed seeds in it, there's no extra fertilizers in it. In other words, it's clean. And knowing what I'm starting with helps me be able to give the plants exactly what they need without over-fertilizing or damaging the seeds because of whatever might be in the soil. Now it's time to go ahead and tamp this down. I did pre-measure the sand and sawdust inside of the 18-inch seedling tray before I added the 1.5 ounces of pre-plant fertilizer and before I watered it down. So this should be pretty close to what I need to have a full seedling tray. By tamping it down, it really settles the soil and helps to have good contact with soil to seed. Now that it's settled, I'm going to take a scrap piece of lumber and I'm going to scree it so that the soil is level all the way around. Now we're ready for some seeds. We have literally hundreds of thousands of seeds. We have 2 full-size seed banks in addition to what you see here on the counter. And so one of the important things in being prepared is being able to have the items on hand. We have these on hand. As you can see, we keep them in their original containers. We add, if it's a paper container, we put them in plastic. We put them in containers like this so we can separate them by category, and we keep them cold. The colder you keep them, the longer they'll last. Up to 20 years if you put them in the freezer. Using a 17-inch long piece of wood, 1 by 2, I made 8 furrows in my 18-inch seedling tray. I then put the seedling tray on a oil drip tray so that when we water it, it'll capture the water, since we're growing on the counter. Underneath the drip tray we have a seedling heating mat. The heating mat is set to 80 degrees, and above the setup we have grow lights on a grow light stand and ratchet system so we can raise and lower the lights easily. We also have the grow lights on a timer, since we'll be running the grow lights 16 hours a day. The grow light setup that we like the best has 6 T5 grow lights inside of it. Right now we have 4 of the 6 on. You can adjust it so it has 2, 4, or 6 lights on at any given time. We have over 80 seeds planted here in this seedling tray. You can actually plant up to 800 seeds, but we obviously are just backyard gardeners and don't need 800 plants growing right now. We have a wide variety of different things here in the seedling tray too. We have gourds, watermelon, cantaloupe, pumpkins, cucumbers, beans, beets, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. We put the seeds in the same row that we felt that would germinate about the same time. That way, when we uncover them, we only need to uncover the rows that have germinated. Another advantage of planting them in the 18-inch seedling tray is that it takes much less space than if you're going to start the seeds in 4-inch pots. In addition to that, the seedling tray only has 4 sides. Only a few of the plants will reach the sides of the tray, allowing almost all of them free range for the roots to grow. So we don't have a root bound problem like you would have with germinating seeds in pots. The rule of thumb in knowing how deep to plant a seed is 2.5 size the seed thickness. Here we have furrows that we've made in the soil. We have very, very small seeds and we have large seeds. We're going to plant them all the same depth, about 1/4 inch, and then cover them with sand. The reason why you plant small seeds very shallow because they don't have the strength to push through 1 inch or 2 inches of soil. But here we're going to use sand, which is light and easy for the seeds to come through. With all the seeds now covered with sand, it's now time to put a protective coating over it so we can water without disturbing the seeds. You can use burlap, which you would moisten first before you put it on here and start watering through it. And the same is also true with cheesecloth. But today we're going to try something new. We're going to use shelf grip liner. But before we put the shelf liner on here, we need to put in our temperature probe for our heating mat. I put that in the center of the box and set the thermostat to 80. Right now the soil temperature is 66 degrees. Using plain tap water or any kind of non-toxic water, we've watered through the shelf grip liner, and simply by picking up the corner you can see that everything is nice and evenly moistened. Once a day we'll come back and water, making sure that the soil stays moist, and probably 3 or 4 days we'll have germination, and that's when you'll see the next video. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. One of the greatest things in seedling production is being prepared to be able to grow your own plants, your own varieties, on your own timetable without having to spend a lot of money on seedlings bought from the nursery.